well, what are the methods to increase that? Short rest period lengths seem to increase that edema or that blood to the muscle. 8 to 12 repetitions, supersets, those are ideal. On top of that is recruiting or calling into play the larger muscle fibers. For those of you guys who know muscle fibers, you know we have our slow twitch muscle fibers, which are good for endurance, and then we have the large, fast twitch muscle fibers. Those are recruited with the heavier type of lifting, right? Like 6 to 8 repetitions, very heavy. And when you recruit them, they turn on protein synthesis and you grow. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is mechanical trauma, like damage to the tissue. And where that occurs essentially is when you're lowering a weight and again, heavy lifting. So basically what you want to do in your training is you want to periodize your training so that you're optimizing each of these mechanisms. And there's so many different techniques that you can use. One theory that I haven't talked about yet is called metabolic stress. Now, everyone knows, when you get that burning sensation when you're training. Well, that's acidity building up in the muscle. That's lactic acid building up in the muscle. What one of my friends, Dr. Gunderman, did was he took muscle cells and isolated them. He put lactic acid, and basically they grew. So muscles actually grow. That burning sensation will actually make them grow. So for example, if you go to the gym and you rest like 5 minutes and you're talking about what you did on the weekend, that clears all out, that metabolic stress, so you won't grow. So bodybuilders traditionally will have, they'll train with the 8 to 12 rep range and they're only resting like 60 seconds. Sometimes they're doing supersets and strip sets. So to build up metabolic stress and cell swelling, you're gonna have short rest periods. But let's say you want to optimize mechanical stress. That's going to be heavier lifting. And to do that, if you're lifting with short rest periods, you can't lift as heavy. So the mechanical stress is less. So during your heavy days, you should actually rest 3 to 5 minutes and realize that you're going to maximize the mechanical load. You're trying to lift as heavy as you can. Now that repetition range, it might still be, 8 repetitions, 6 repetitions. So it's still in a higher repetition range. I'm not talking about powerlifting, but you're resting longer so that each time you lift, the weights are heavy. Biggest mistake I think people make in the gym is they underestimate what their capabilities actually are. So they limit themselves first mentally, and that leads to limiting themselves physically. So for example, everyone's always worried like, oh my God, I'm going to overtrain, so I can only train everything once a week. But studies are showing that the more frequent you train, the better your gains will be. So sometimes when you have an overload of the muscle every day, your performance is not going to be best, but you're beating the muscle up so much